Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the life of Mary Shelley,
Oh, yeah.
the author of Frankenstein.
One of my favorites.
I know, right? So we've
Such a good book.
got some biographical articles,
Mm.
encyclopedia entries, all sorts of things, and it's amazing how much her life mirrors
Oh, really?
the themes in
Mm.
Frankenstein.
Wow.
It's really pretty incredible, and we'll be debunking some misconceptions about her
Yeah.
and Frankenstein along the way. So
Interesting.
stick with us.
Mm-hmm.
So let's rewind all the way back to 1797.
Okay.
When Mary Shelley was born.
Wow.
Talk about a literary legacy to be born into.
Yeah, she was born
Wow.
to Mary Wollstonecraft,
Wow.
Vindication of the Rights of Woman,
Oh, yeah, of course.
and William Godwin,
Oh, wow.
the philosopher.
I can only imagine the
Yeah.
dinner conversations in that house.
Oh, man, I know.
Right.
It must have been amazing.
Hub for intellectual discourse.
It must have been so interesting.
But sadly, Mary's mother died only 11 days
Oh, wow.
after she was born.
So sad.
Yeah. So she was raised by her father.
Mm-hmm.
How did that shape her childhood?
Well, Godwin was incredibly devoted
Oh.
to educating Mary. He believed in educating girls, which was pretty radical
Yeah.
for that time period.
Back then, absolutely.
Yeah, and he exposed her to all this literature and philosophy,
Right.
and even invited leading thinkers of the day to their home.
So her home was like a salon
Yeah,
for brilliant minds.
yeah,
No pressure.
no kidding.
Right.
It's amazing.
Family life, though, wasn't without its challenges.
Oh, okay.
He ended up remarrying.
Right.
Which,
of course.
causes some tension
Sure.
in any family.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward a bit
Okay.
to Mary's teenage years.
All right.
This is where things get really romantic and scandalous.
Ooh, tell me more.
Tell us about Percy Bysshe Shelley.
So when Mary was 16, she met Percy Shelley, who was already a really well-known poet, and married.
Hmm?
He was a huge admirer of Godwin's work.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so they formed this very intense connection based on their shared love of literature
Oh, yeah.
and their rebellious spirits.
Sounds very romantic.
Yes, it does.
And this led to their elopement in 1814.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
They ran off to Europe, taking Mary's stepsister,
Wow.
Claremont, with them.
What a scandal.
Yeah, huge scandal.
Totally thumbing their nose at society.
Oh, yeah.
What was the reaction like?
Mary was ostracized
Oh, wow.
by society.
Yeah.
Godwin, even though he was a proponent of free love, was deeply hurt
Of course.
and didn't speak to Mary for a while.
Yeah, so this elopement really created a rift in the family
Did
and put Mary on the outs
Yeah.
with society.
Mm-hmm. It must have been
It must have been difficult,
very isolating.
especially at that age.
Do we know how she felt about this?
Well, we can only speculate.
But I imagine it was hard for her. She
Yeah.
was young and in love,
Mm-hmm.
but facing a lot of societal pressure and judgment.
Right. It makes sense
Yeah.
that those feelings might have
Up in-
made their way into her writing.
It makes sense.
So this wasn't just a
Yeah.
romantic adventure.
No, it wasn't.
This was a defining moment.
Yeah, for sure.
This set the stage
A turning point.
for Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But before we get there,
Okay.
was it all...
Yeah,
Sunshine.
sunshine and roses.
No, there's all life together.
Yeah.
Well, no, not exactly.
Okay.
They had constant financial struggles,
Mm.
disapproval from Percy's family,
Wow.
and then they lost their first child in 1815.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Mary gave birth to a premature baby girl who didn't survive.
That is so sad.
Yeah, it's really sad.
What a profound loss to experience.
Especially so young.
So young.
Yeah.
Do you think that influenced her writing at all?
It's hard to say for sure,
Yeah.
but it's certainly possible.
You know, those themes of loss and creation
Mm-hmm.
and the responsibility that comes with bringing something new into the world are so central
Right.
to Frankenstein.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the summer of 1816,
Okay.
a pivotal year.
All right.
Mary and Percy find themselves in Switzerland with Lord Byron
Wow.
and John Polidori.
What a group.
What a gathering.
That's amazing.
Right.
Yeah,
That sounds like a movie.
it really does.
They were all staying near Lake Geneva.
Oh, wow. So beautiful.
Beautiful setting.
Yeah.
But that summer was unusually cold
Oh.
and stormy.
Oh, man.
So their cooped up inside
Yeah.
with nothing to do, but
Well, one evening,
they are.
Lord Byron suggested they have a ghost story writing contest.
Oh, I love that.
Right.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine being a fly on the wall?
I would love to.
Right.
It'd be so fun.
But Mary initially struggled
Oh, yeah.
to come up with an idea.
Really?
Can you imagine that pressure?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Surrounded by all
Those literary
yeah,
giants
just amazing writers.
trying to conjure up a scary story.
I wouldn't be able to come up with anything.
What broke through for her?
Well, they were talking about scientific experiments,
Okay.
and the idea of reanimating a corpse came up that sparked something in Mary.
Wow.
She had a waking dream,
Oh,
a
wow.
vision that gave her the framework
Really?
for Frankenstein.
And get this, years later,
Mm-hmm.
astronomer Donald Olson
I love this.
figured out the exact date
Wow.
and time
Really?
of this waking dream.
No way.
June 16th, 1816,
That's amazing.
between 2 and 3 a.m.,
Wow.
using astronomical data.
I love that.
It's like a window into that moment.
Wow.
And to make it even more interesting,
Yeah.
John Polidori, who was also there,
Oh, right. Yeah.
created another iconic monster,
Oh, really?
the modern vampire.
Oh, wow.
That summer in Switzerland was a breeding ground for literary monsters. Right.
Yeah.
So the seed for Frankenstein was planted,
Right.
but then Mary's life took another tragic turn that summer.
Oh, no.
She actually faced 2 suicides.
Oh, my gosh.
First, her half-sister Fanny Emily
Wow.
took her own life,
That's terrible.
and then weeks later,
Oh, gosh.
Percy's wife Harriet
Mm-hmm.
was found drowned.
Wow. What a sad time for her.
Yeah.
It's a really tough time.
Yeah, unbelievably hard to even imagine.
Yeah.
So, in the midst of all this,
And then amidst all of it,
okay.
they got married.
Hmm.
Mary and Percy got married in December 1816.
It's amazing that they found love and joy
I know.
in such a difficult time.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And shortly after they got married,
Okay.
Mary started working on Frankenstein.
Oh, wow.
And she was pregnant again.
Okay.
So you can imagine all those anxieties about becoming a mother
Right. Yeah.
on top of the grief she was experiencing.
So she's writing Frankenstein with all the
Processing all of this.
intense emotions swirling around her.
It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
Like how life experiences can really influence creative work.
It's powerful. Yeah. And then in 1818, Frankenstein was published.
Yep.
Anonymously.
Anonymously.
Why?
Well, there were societal expectations. Remember, she was still quite young at this point.
Right. Yeah.
And the themes in the novel were considered pretty radical.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Plus, people just assumed Percy wrote it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he wrote the introduction to the book.
Oh, so there was this debate about authorship
Right from the beginning.
from the get-go.
Yeah.
What did Mary think about Percy's involvement?
Well, she acknowledged his encouragement
Okay.
and, his help with editing,
Mm-hmm.
but she always maintained that the story and its themes were her own.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was a hit.
It was.
Like the book was a success.
Huge success.
It captured the imaginations of readers.
Totally. Why do you think that was?
Well, I think it tapped into some anxieties that people were feeling.
About the dangers of unchecked ambition.
Yeah.
And the consequences of playing God.
Right. It's still relevant today.
Exactly. Like those are themes that still resonate with
Right.
us today.
Yeah. So the book's success really launched Mary Shelley's literary career.
Yeah.
But sadly, more personal tragedies were in store for her.
Unfortunately, yes.
They moved to Italy,
Mm-hmm.
seeking a fresh start.
Yeah. A change of scenery.
But they faced more heartache.
They did. Yeah. They lost 2 more children
Oh, my God.
in Italy.
It's just unimaginable.
There's grief.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And then in 1822,
Yeah.
tragedy struck again.
Mm-hmm.
Percy drowned.
Yeah.
Mary was only 24 years old and widowed
Wow.
for a second time.
It's unbelievable.
How did she cope?
Well, despite all of that loss,
Mhm.
Mary showed incredible resilience. She
Ah.
was really determined to make her own way and provide for her son.
That's amazing.
And she poured herself into her writing and also making sure that Percy's legacy lived on.
So she channeled her grief
It seems like it.
into this creative energy.
Right.
Yeah.
She was really extraordinary.
So tell us more about her life.
Yeah.
As a single mother and a working writer,
Okay.
what were some of the challenges she faced?
Well, for one thing,
Okay.
she had to deal with Percy's father,
Okay.
Sir Timothy Shelley.
Mm-hmm.
He was a wealthy baronet,
Oh.
but he disapproved
Okay.
of his son's lifestyle and wasn't very supportive of Mary.
So he wasn't helpful.
No, he wasn't.
Wow.
He offered her a small allowance,
Okay.
but with a lot of strings attached.
Oh, so he was trying to control her?
He wanted to control her life
Yeah.
and even limit her contact with her son.
Oh, wow. So she had to rely on him.
Kind of.
But he also disapproved of her.
Yeah, it was a tough spot to be in.
What did she write after Frankenstein?
Well, she explored a bunch of different genres.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I always think of her.
She wrote historical novels,
Oh.
like Valperga, The Fortunes of Perkin Warbeck, a science fiction novel called The Last Man.
Really?
Yeah, about a future ravaged by a pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then a really personal novella
Okay.
called Matilda, which wasn't published until after she died.
Oh, so she was pushing the boundaries.
She was.
It's amazing how those themes still resonate today.
I know, right?
Yeah.
She really had a knack for tapping into those universal human anxieties.
So while she was writing all these novels,
Yeah.
she was also working to make sure that Percy's poetry
Oh, absolutely.
was out there.
She edited and published his works.
Wow.
You know, really advocated for his genius.
It's amazing that she was able to do all that
I know, it's incredible.
while also being a single mom.
And in such a male-dominated world.
Yeah, what a powerhouse.
Yeah, she was amazing.
She even contributed to Lardner's Cabinet Cyclopedia,
She did.
writing biographies.
Yeah, of all these prominent authors.
Really?
Yeah, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, French.
Wow. She really wasn't afraid to tackle any subject.
Nope.
But her later years weren't easy, were they?
No, they weren't.
Were there attempts to blackmail her?
Yeah, there were a few.
Really?
Yeah, mostly related to letters she and Percy had written.
What was in the letters?
You know, some personal details and views that could have been damaging if they were made public.
Oh, so they were trying to use that against her.
Exactly.
It's awful that she had to deal with that.
Yeah, after everything she'd already been through.
How did she respond?
Well, she stood her ground.
Good for her.
She refused to give in.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she was tough.
And Percy's father,
Yeah, what about him?
did he ever come around?
Well, he did eventually grant her custody of their son,
Okay.
but he still made things difficult for her.
So she was constantly fighting
Yeah, it seems like it.
for control of her own life?
Yeah.
Wow. So in her final years,
Yeah, in her later years.
what did she do?
She continued to write
Okay.
and traveled through Europe with her son. Wonderful.
And she got to see Percy's poetry gain more recognition.
That's great.
Yeah. Seems like she found some peace in those later years.
I'm glad.
Yeah, me too.
After all that turmoil,
I know.
a little peace.
Yeah.
So she died in 1851.
Yeah, at the age of 53.
What was the cause?
Brain cancer.
So sad. Such a brilliant life cut short.
It is really sad.
And she was buried with Percy's heart.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's a detail I always think about.
It's so romantic and then poignant.
Yeah, like their hearts were literally entwined.
Yeah, even in death.
Yeah. And then years later,
Yeah.
Percy Florence, their son, and his wife reburied Mary's parents beside her.
Oh, wow.
So they were all reunited in the end.
That's nice.
Yeah, a final chapter of reconciliation.
I like that.
So beyond Frankenstein,
Yeah, what about her other work?
what should we remember her for?
Well, Frankenstein is just one part of her legacy.
Okay.
Her other novels, like The Last Man,
Right.
Valperga, even Matilda.
They show how versatile she was as a writer.
Yeah, we tend to focus on the Gothic horror,
Yeah.
but she had so much more to say.
Right. And her biographical work is important too.
And like Lardner's Cabinet Cyclopedia.
Exactly.
Wow.
It was a big deal to document the lives of all those authors.
Yeah.
And it helped to shape how we understand literary history.
So she wasn't just a novelist.
No.
She was a scholar and a historian.
She was.
And it's hard to overstate the impact of Frankenstein
Oh, yeah.
on our culture today.
Absolutely. It's everywhere.
It's been adapted so many times.
Movies, plays, all sorts of things.
And it still inspires people today.
It really does.
It speaks to the power of her storytelling.
Absolutely. Like the themes she explored.
Yeah.
Good versus evil.
Yeah.
The responsibility of the creator. The consequences of ambition. Those are timeless.
They're universal.
Totally.
And that creature,
yeah.
that monster,
The monster.
he just fascinates us.
He does.
He's an icon.
Yeah.
A symbol of all our fears.
Yeah, so great.
It's interesting that she chose to have a male creator
Yeah, it is interesting.
grappling with these issues.
Especially with Mary's own experience with motherhood and loss.
Yeah. What do you make of that choice?
I don't know. It's something to think about.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a more powerful statement for a man to deal with those issues.
Yeah.
You know, those things are usually associated with women.
Right, like creation and loss.
Exactly.
Maybe it was a reflection of what it was like to be a woman back then,
Maybe.
where her voice wouldn't have been heard.
is possible.
It's a really fascinating layer to the novel.
Yeah, it is.
So what stands out to you most about Mary Shelley?
Her resilience, for sure. It's incredible how she turned her sorrow into art.
Yeah.
She really defied expectations and left her mark on the world.
It's a powerful reminder
Yeah.
that even in the darkest times,
Right.
we can create and connect
Exactly.
and leave a legacy behind.
It's beautiful.
So we've only scratched the surface of Mary Shelley's life.
Yeah.
But hopefully this deep dive will inspire you to learn more.
I hope so.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, keep diving.